When NASA launches a rocket into space, there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of pieces. How do you know which piece is most risky? How do you know it's going to fail? How do you prevent it from failing? Whatever you do, there's always risk. Sometimes you have to take the chance and launch your rocket into space. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective.
Oh, God.
Taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Well, I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks. Thanks for joining us on
you.
another episode of
The
Unpanderers.
Welcome.
It's funny, we don't pander.
It's a popular
I feel like
opinion.
Or money. Like, I don't think we're going to change our. We're not going to change our. We're not going to change our format. I don't care how much the big companies are throwing at us. We're going to keep doing it the way we want to do it.
That sounds risky.
Would you agree with that?
We should just take the money. Take the money and run.
Take the money and run. So good. There's a risk in taking the money and running, though.
Oh, yeah, because they could get you. Do you think big corporations have, like, the guys that beat you up? Big, bear-like men to tear you to shreds?
Like, I think those people are hired by people in the company, but it's under the books. We never sanctioned that. My knees, the table. My beautiful knees. Off the table. Your knees have been removed. I mean, could Jeff Bezos beat up anyone? What if there was someone who was claiming Jeff Bezos could not beat him up? And there was like this weird upswell with like, he has enough money, man, he could do it. And he was like, no, he can't do it. They'll trace the money back to him. Do you think you could pay a guy, to wire a guy, to do some searching on like Reddit and then do some searching on some like black market stuff to pay a guy to beat that guy up? Or do you think if it was high opinion enough and like in the spotlight enough that somehow someone would crack the code and figure it out and we'd know Jeff Bezos did it?
Did you ever see the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I'm not 100%. I feel like I've just seen parts of it in my life.
Have you seen the part in the end where he gets hit with the chain and the chain just keeps falling and falling and falling and falling and it just covers him entirely?
No, I haven't. I don't recall that part. That's hilarious. I love how I was waiting to hear a part that I've heard from Twins, and I'm like, yeah, okay. No, I didn't. I don't recall that.
No. If Jeff Bezos has a superpower, it's just like hitting people with money and like deluging them in money until they're completely killed.
Cover? Oh my God! Can you imagine that? He donated so much money it killed them.
He's so charitable. Everyone would be like, "Oh my God, all those poor children!" He's just like a wave of money. They're all screaming, and they're just like, "He is so kind."
What a guy! Just wave. That's
money
wild.
Fixes everything, and it's like a guy with like broken legs because he hit them with stacks of money.
Like just so many quarters landing on him, just killing him. Beautiful.
Yeah. Risk.
It would be really great right now to start with like a definition of risk definition. Wikipedia. I'll read it because it's my favorite thing to do.
There's a reason. So there's a reason I picked risk is that I had this giant software program ready to go, and it's all written by me. And if you think about it, if I'm sleepy or I don't double check things, and I definitely don't test things the way they're supposed to be tested, any one line of code in like the thousands of lines of code can cause a problem that just destroys the whole thing. Makes it so it doesn't work.
Ruins your life's work. Mm-hmm. Pretty sweet.
Yeah. You don't know. At least it's only money. But
It's just money, folks.
I've written software for like explosive stuff too, and it makes it like really frightening to be like the only
Like
person
you're
coding it.
culpable.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like because they could always trace that code back. It's written in and entered by one individual. I mean, you have some fallback. Your company okayed it. Someone okayed it. Someone checked it and said, "Yeah, we're good to go." But ultimately, you wrote it.
Mm-hmm. And there's not that
You.
many things in life that you put your stamp on that their life relies on your code or your whatever you did or whatever you're doing.
Would you like to hear the definition for risk?
Sure. It's going to be very business-like.
It kind of is. Risk is the potential for uncontrolled loss of something of value. Values such as physical health, social status, emotional well-being, or financial wealth. They can be gained or lost when taking risk resulting from a given action or inaction, foreseen or unforeseen, planned or not planned. Risk can also be defined as the intentional interaction with uncertainty. Dun, dun, dun. Uncertainty as a potential, unpredictable, uncontrollable outcome. It's an aspect of action taken in spite of uncertainty.
Would you like a life without risk? Would it be enjoyable?
I don't think you can, to be honest with you. Can you imagine if you can't take risks? You have to take risks. Like even
What if
as
your
a
life
child,
was so controlled that you didn't have to worry about anything?
Learning to walk is a risk. Someone learning to walk in a incubator with like water shoes and like in a tub that's only 7 inches of water. Yes, I said water. Funny.
That's a higher risk of like drowning than actually like hurting yourself falling.
That's why I said 7 inches. Can you drown in 7 inches of water?
I think you can drown someone else in 7 inches of water.
Right. I don't think you could drown, but you could drown someone.
Do you think your body will flip you over? Is this the discussion?
3 inches, I think, is where you would. 2 inches.
If you roll on your side and it like, can you drown with only half your mouth being covered? I think you can.
Probably can. So, all right, 1 inch of water. Yeah. Podcast.
Oh, okay. Remember I said fuck pico now?
Yep.
Get off of it.
Okay.
What did you do?
I was reminded that she pays the pico bill and that the computer that would be on anyway is under that rule and that I should be done with it.
Oh, wow. Did you tell her how much it actually costs for a kilowatt of power?
No, I did not. And I would not like to sit down and explain it to her. It seems like a lot of work.
Well, you got to multiply it by hours first.
Well, it's also a risk assessment, and it's not worth the risk at this point. You do not engage, as we say here. The reward versus the... What's the opposite of reward? Downfall? It's kind of risk reward, but we're talking about what... Yeah, the reward versus the loss is not worth the risk, if I were to say so.
Consequences. So... I had a job where I was calculating risk for a rocket that was going to be launched into space. So they have these matrices that are like likelihood versus consequences. The whole thing is like if you multiply them together, then it gives you like a value, and like certain values make it so that you care about them more, and then you have to like do different layers of protection to make sure that they don't happen.
Mitigate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, damn! I love some mitigating some risk.
So you're going to leave the computer on so you're not mitigating risks that way.
I am not. I'm a dangerous individual.
Like 1 hour. This podcast is about an hour, so probably your computer's maybe less than 1,000 watts. So maybe it's 10 cents.
It is. It's $8.50.
Oh, with the light bulb above you, it's probably.
Oh, good point. Yeah. We're adding in other factors. You're right. You're correct.
Calculating it all.
Well, that is 10 cents.
You should get a dime every time you go podcast and just slam it down in front of her and be like...
That is a risk that is also unwarranted. Is that the right word?
You don't have to do it in front of her. You can just hide dimes in her clothing, random places.
Dimes everywhere I can put them?
You should hide it in her underwear, so every time she takes it off, she's like, what the hell, where's this coming from?
Where did I get this dime? You tell me, lady of the night. So,
yeah, we were distracted by
know
someone's input.
we were? What's interesting is that my job now, I actually have, I didn't realize this, mini risk assessment. Anytime I put together an order, I have to place my initials, the date, and then literally the word risk, colon, and then the level of risk for the order. Yeah, most people were like, you can't use a dash. I'm like, why not? What's the difference? And they're like, just, it's risk, colon, and then you put. So you have to put low, medium, or high. And the risk is, I think if it's a value-added service with something that's non-returnable and that we're doing something to the wire or cable, like twisting it, cutting it, stripping it, dyeing it, all these things, it's a small risk.
Detailed, yeah.
But because it's, well, if we cut it to, 3/4 of an inch on the end and then tin the ends and then twist it and send it to a customer, if they say, oh, this is wrong, it's coming back to us. What do we do with that? I don't know. Exactly. So it's a medium risk. Yeah. Now the other risk is like if we don't have the material in-house, we're ordering it from a manufacturer. What if they send us the wrong stuff? What if they ran out? What if they sold it before you got it? That's a medium risk. High risk. Oh my God. Don't get me started on high risk. Me personally?
No.
Oh, okay. High risk. International customer. It's going overseas, somewhere where we can't really have control of what they do with it. It's 8 moving parts. It's all these different things. Did we translate properly? Oh, maybe they meant millimeters. Oops. And then, I don't know. It's like, whoa, this job could go fuck all sideways for a lot of money. And it's like, good luck. That's a high risk job, but they let me do whatever one I want. So I just have to write on there. Interesting, I guess.
Do you write
anyway,
whatever you feel?
No, I always write low or medium. Like, I'm not like selling weird cut strip custom cable jobs to Taiwan or anything like that for like 100,000 feet yet. Dun dun dun.
You assume like military grade has a risk to it? They're gonna build missiles out of it and then launch it at you?
Sort of. So that's the other thing I've come into with this business. I've never, if I sell toilet paper and paper towels, like it's just toilet paper and paper towels. Like you get it, you use it. If it's a screwed up box, okay, return it. I'll give you a new one because that happens in toilet paper and paper towels. Sometimes they're shredded. Sometimes the machine cuts it.
With your paper towels, and it's like this one type of paper towel shows up at every murder scene. It's like we have to prevent the sale of this, or else people will die.
Would ride it to the forefront of public opinion. Free the paper towels.
And then you have
paper towels for all. So hold on. So this is the other thing about risk at my job that I'd never come across, and sort of ties into what you're talking about. When I sell wire, wire has to carry a signal. It has to carry an electric signal that turns something on, turns something off. Sounds pretty stupid, but if it's like a turbine or a blade or something that has to work, or plenum cable, that's cable that goes above a high rise in like the ceilings that like ties lights and stuff together, that has to be non-flammable. It has to be plenum. It has to be rated so that it won't burst into flames, so that it won't fail, so that it won't, like shipboard cable has to be stuff that's super reliable. They have zero halogen, low smoke. All these things start adding up, and it's like it's the same cable that I can sell Joe Schmo at the shop, but for an extra 10 times as much money, you can buy one that's rated and will not fail. And like, what means it will not fail? It's risk free.
You need a new job.
Why? This is literally the companies you're talking about. This is the shit they buy for big money.
Oh.
Literally, NASA will only buy shit that's like milspec rated.
Yeah,
I think lately they've been moving to other shit. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't know about that shit. And they only buy shit that will not fail. And it's like Teflon. Is it rated to this voltage? And is it rated to this? And I'm like, who cares? And they're like, we're sending it into space. And I'm like, probably. It'll be fine.
So this is the most fun part of my job, really, towards the end of my NASA career, is that they would analyze like all sorts of risk, like all different types. Like you'd get a variety. One of the best ones was like if a rocket hits a bird on the way up, so like bird strike. Like how do you quantify that risk? And then like they had people.
Seems minimal to zero, but tell me.
They had people that studied this that were experts in it. So they would like tap on this expert and say like,
birdball.
What's the risk here? So like they went in like analyzed like time of day, like where are the birds, like where do they sit, like what's their path,
Windshield. What part? Where are they gonna hit?
how big are they, how high do they fly, like what season do they fly in, like if we could go like before a storm or after a storm, is it better, like all of these like factors are just like multiplied together and be like,
yeah.
you don't want to do this because you're going to get hit with a bird at like this altitude where it's going to be very bad. And it was crazy. There was one guy that spent years studying birds flying in this one spot. It's like that was his job. That's like your job, is to do this.
Yeah. That's wild to me in that I don't think I care, and I would think NASA or somebody wouldn't care. But I guess if you're spending $1 billion to build something to launch, and it's a one-time launch, how do you guarantee that it's going to work? Mm-hmm. It's worth spending the extra money on parts and research that guarantees that it will not have a snafu, as it were. Like, can you imagine if $1 billion rocket did hit a bunch of birds and got just fucked sideways, and the whole project was ruined, and someone was like, they hit birds. And someone was like, ruined it.
Damn
birds.
But if like we go through all these things to find like easy preventative measures. Mm-hmm. Like if you could play a siren, if you had technology that scared birds away, if you could fire something in the air that would prevent them from going in that path beforehand, like all of that is like very reasonable compared to $1 billion.
It is. So it's a risk reward type scale that you're talking about, which in our day-to-day lives really doesn't seem to be important and is actually hilarious to talk about, but I guess it makes sense. This is the entire job of like insurance and life insurance and like that kind of a thing. They do all these studies that are literally, it's a risk reward for a company that's trying to make money on you paying it, so that if someone dies or is hurt, they don't have to pay you as much as they're making from charging you.
This is actuary.
Thank you. Actuary.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I love that. That's kind of the weirdest job in the world.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of interesting, but I think it'd also be kind of soul-sucking at the same time, because you wouldn't actually be living. You'd just be calculating a bunch of stuff.
It's like calculating life, which you can't do, but you can get damn well close to getting a pretty good number. Yeah, correlate some numbers, baby. Get some percentages in there. Flambe some risk.
So there's other types of risk that, like sleeping with women at the office. Like, why don't more people do that?
Ooh, that's a risk. See, I don't know where people find the time. Not the risk, it's the time, you know?
So it's your work. You can't give them the business at business.
I recently spoke with a coworker about this. It's called shitting where you eat, and it's not always a great decision.
Yeah, because what are the odds that it works out and they're the new one? No, it doesn't.
That's weird too. It's probably that's best case scenario, which is weird because it probably isn't really best case scenario. It's best case scenario for your risk. Like, chances are she's not. And you're not going to leave and become happily married, because then you're also working. That's weird too. Like, none of it. There's no good path.
It's a fun experience,
is there? Though. I guess so. Yeah, physically, yeah, emotionally, a little bit of a fling, some fun. You can do it close to the office. That's word power to you. Problem is, it will always end in either jadedism. That's a real word, maybe. Revenge, someone finding out, it going awry. I love that word.
Awry.
What
about classmates?
Think about that.
Did you ever date a classmate?
I guess so. People at school, but I mean, I'm trying to think if I slept with them. It went bad, and I still had classes with them.
I remember crossing paths with maybe one girl that was in my major.
But do you? It's not like.
She can't.
That individual.
At that point in your life, they can't. What are they gonna? They might get you suspended from school for something.
Well, they can't. That's school doesn't have those kind of rules.
Yeah.
So, but like worst case scenario, if it does go awry, like what do they do to you? Like, are they? Like, it's not like you're working on an individual project and both of you are together. I picked you two at random, and you're gonna have to do this project for the semester. It's for your entire grade, and you have to work together. It's like that doesn't happen. You barely have to rely on each other. At most, you just have to be in each other's presence for a little bit. quietly, and maybe you're secretly hating them, or they're hating you, or they're remembering, or they wanted it to keep going, or you didn't, or they're disgusted by you, or they remember something and they're pissed at you.
Do you feel awkward in these situations? Do you ever feel awkward? When's the last time you felt awkward?
I feel awkward sometimes. I just can't think. I can't think of the last time I felt awkward. Oh, I know where I walked. There's a guy that works in HR, and he's the same age as all the sales reps. So today, I know his name. He doesn't know mine. I was like, "Yo, Brad," and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he seems like a normal, cool, chill dude. And he was walking the same direction I did, and me and Daff were leaving, and I was like, "Yo," and I was walking with Daff, so he started walking with us. And Daff, I swear to God, he's carrying a Chick-fil-A styrofoam cup filled with soda from earlier in the day. As he's walking on his way out of work, it burst. And I was like, dude, because I thought he dropped it. And he's like, dude, look. And he turned to show me. The whole bottom just dropped out. A circular cut all at once. The acid must have eaten away at it all day or something. It was a perfect circle. And everyone's staring. And we had to get napkins and stuff. And we're dabbing it with napkins. And he went back to the bathroom to go get some paper towels. And me, Brad, and are just standing there, and he was getting ready to leave, and he's not really our friend, and he was like, and I was like, it's cool, dude. And he's like standing there, and I was like, you can leave. We're adults. We can clean it up. I was, because like he was standing around like waiting to end.
Leave.
Yeah, but I didn't say it mean. I was just like, he was on his way out to go home.
You may proceed with your life.
And he was like, yeah. Because like I felt like he was just hanging around too long, and I was like, okay. And then he rolled, and I waited around for Daff, and I was like, yo, Daff, you need me help clean up? You good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm like I pointed to where Brad was, and I shook my head. Like, it was just weird that he did that. And I guess I wasn't awkward, but like, you can still feel awkward with people. Like, it's like.
So there was a moment when I was in college and I broke my leg, and I was crutching upstairs, and one of my lab mates from like a previous class was behind me. And crutching up, I fell down, and like I really like fell down the steps. I wasn't hurt, but I like stumbled to the bottom. It's one of those things that my classmate didn't know how to like interact with humans.
You?
Yeah,
like help me physically. They didn't know if they should touch you. Like that's a weird thing. Who you touch and who you don't touch.
Plus, I think he didn't like me because I didn't help on that project very well. So he was like, he just kind of like stood there like awkwardly
bend over,
pretending kind of help.
The best is this move, the bend over, like he's gonna help you. He's like, you got this? You okay? Do you need help? And you're like already picking yourself up, so clearly you're okay. And it's like, I'm good, dude. Thank you.
It's strange when things happen that you've never seen before because you don't know how you're gonna react, or the expectations of yourself are not anything that you know. Nothing familiar.
You didn't know.
About the situation.
You couldn't prepare yourself for it. It's just you're thrust into it all of a sudden. Boom. Is that kind of where we're going with risk? Like, you don't. Risk happens every day. Is that what you're getting at?
It's like you can prepare for risk, but how do you know what it's gonna what's gonna be?
You kind of don't. I guess that's the point of risk. It's something that will happen and will throw you into uncertainty.
I always like. There's a subreddit called "What Could Go Wrong," and it's always people that like. Some of them are obvious, like. They sit on a railing and they accidentally fall over the railing. It's like, oh, yeah. And some of them are like,
the craziest things you ever heard.
They like flip out of the car and they like land on their feet. And like in those situations, the adrenaline hasn't even hit them yet. And like their car's in pieces all around them, but they're fine. And they just like walk away. And you look at it and you go like, that's impossible. Like there's no way that person's like completely fine. But it's like the reverse of a risk. It's like like the odds of your success are so slim that it's
it happened. And now how do you react? Are you like, whoa, I'm good? You just touch your shoulders a lot? Whoa, I'm fine. Touch your knees a few times.
Yeah.
Touch the chest. Look for cuts. I'm good, maybe. I'm good, I think. I think I'm good.
And I'm fine. That person's probably so close to death that they have no clue and they don't like comprehending how close you are to death.
How crazy is this? That happens to you on a head-on collision, and you land, and you literally spend 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, just touching yourself, looking around, almost like laughing. And then you look over in the
30
car and
minutes
the other
touching
person.
himself. Oh, he's
No, 30,
he's on the side of the road. He's just touching himself over there. He's just
no. Like even like, can you imagine if you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm fine. Like, and you're touching your shins, and you're like, this is nuts. And you keep looking at the car and everything, and someone's like pulling over, and they're like, is everybody okay? And you're like, it's incredible. I landed on my feet. And they're like, no, the other guy, he's dead. And you look over, and the other guy's dead, and you just spent the whole time like touching yourself and marveling how awesome today is, and you're like, oh. I'm sure that's happened, right? Because you're so... That's crazy. I don't even know what you would do in that case. And then you would suddenly feel terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's the weirdest thing. It's like the most euphoric moment of your life and the worst at the same time, a little bit.
That's the other
Can't believe
subreddit.
I'm fine.
There's a subreddit called
but-
no, and no, yes.
Oh.
So like the yes part is when people survive all these things. The no part is when it happens and
it does go bad.
Yeah, it goes wrong, horribly wrong. The worst I saw was someone was trying to. This is like an Arabic nation. They tried to jump over a well, and like a giant, like maybe like the jump was probably looked like 10 feet, and the guy looked really confident, like he was gonna do it, and he did not. And you think about it, like, did that guy really think about the consequences and the odds that it was going to happen? Like, did he think, no, there's no way I missed this? Did he think, is it worth even doing it because I could possibly die? Like, did he even think about those things? It's like,
I imagine he had to think that he could die, but he put it at such a small margin that it didn't matter. Because, I mean, every time you get in your car, you could die, right? Correct?
Yeah, but how many times have you gotten in your car your entire life? Probably
dozens.
Tens of thousands.
Dozens. Literally.
You're living
dozens.
out of your car right now, aren't you?
Yeah,
I never leave my car. It's a hatchback. It's got space.
The third row seating.
Yeah.
But no, like anytime you die, you don't expect it or plan it, I guess, right? So that's like the ultimate risk.
Like Evil Knievel. I think
he did. Oh my god, dude! They would play it up for months, and then weeks, and then hours before the show, and then half an hour before when he's going to do it. He's going to jump at 7. He probably doesn't jump till like 8:15 because they're talking about it. They're showing videos. They're talking about the death-defying. Like that's played up. But like what you talked about, a guy doing YouTube videos where he jumps over a well for like views, like or any of the guys who do the what's it called, free running, base jumping. What's it called? Where guys do cool
like
stunts.
hang off the edge with their fingertips.
Yeah, and then jump from rooftop to rooftop, and then do a jump here and a flip onto this beam, and it's like really cool stuff. But you could slip, break your neck pretty easily.
What was it? There's a word. It's not planking, but it's
free running. I thought it was free running.
They do call it free running, but there's another one.
Oh, you're talking about something else. The people who climb up bridges. Like suspension bridges? No,
like they jump to like different things.
Rooftop to rooftop?
Oh, it's gonna piss me off so much.
What do they do? So wait, you jump from like a roof to another roof to a lower roof to a thing?
It's like Mirror's Edge, if you ever played Mirror's Edge.
But it's pretty much like any puzzle game, a jumper. What do they call them? Platformer.
Yeah, it's
any platform game.
What's weird about it is I imagine that people like doing that sort of thing think it's like some sort of sport, but like most of the time they're not athletic people. So I'm like, I wonder what you actually look like. Like if you filmed yourself, would it match up with what your vision is of yourself doing it?
I think the people that I see the YouTube videos of, and I only see the ones that get millions of retweets and views and all that sort of stuff, are really good and are athletic and jumping crazy distances. It's not like Joe Schmo, who's known among his friends, like a local celebrity, like among 30 people, and he does it for 10 people. Like he's probably doesn't look that good and has a pretty high risk. Although I guess the risk is the same for the guy that has 10 viewers as 10 million viewers.
Yeah. It might be a different skill level, possibly. But still,
right, how would you know? Isn't that weird?
I can't believe that people do that.
Skill?
Like, do you think social media is causing these people to like be more brazen? Because they think, hey, here's a chance of me doing something, and then they try it.
It is, but I think before social media, would you say people were more bored? because they didn't have access to the world to look at on their phone.
Like the
I think they
level of
did.
entertainment keeps people from
Yeah,
doing that sort of thing, while
yeah,
other people
yes,
want to
while
entertain.
feeding other people. Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, 50 years ago, you couldn't watch YouTube videos of people doing this stuff. I think people like in the urban communities in Philadelphia. I know 50 years ago it was called chinning, where you would I'm talking like the 1960s, 70s. This is mostly African American culture in Philadelphia because that's where most of the
Never
people I
heard of
knew.
chinning before.
Okay, that's what I'm telling you. So in the 70s and 80s, 60s, somewhere in there, they would do a handstand off of something really high and then flip over and land. And the higher you could do something off of, the cooler it was. So that people who were really good at chinning would do it off of like a lot of cool things. It was essentially just doing a handstand and jumping off of something. But like they got higher and higher things, and like that A was a thing of coolness, B a thing of entertainment, and C like bragging rights. But like you
Why is
couldn't
it
just
chinning? Because you like bring your chin down to it, or
like I friggin' know. There's gonna be like one person who sees this in their entire life that knows what I'm even talking about. But just the fact that you couldn't plop around and watch YouTube videos together, and movies probably weren't as big, and TV shows and Netflix and all, so you like that was kind of entertainment, I guess, actually doing it as opposed to watching it. And it probably wasn't as death defying and cool as some of the videos, like a dude jumping a 10-foot well, like over his life. Like probably didn't see that in local stuff,
no.
but the higher the platform, the higher the risk.
It's also risk over time has changed, like how we treat our children. Like we make
Mhm.
these like. Remember when I was in grade school, the swing set was 2 stories tall, so you could swing like
It was not 2 stories, was it?
Maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe
Okay,
it was like more
good.
like 12 feet, but it was
Okay.
definitely larger, if not
Mhm.
twice as large as any swing set I've seen today. So there were kids that would swing to the top of it, jump
Oh.
off, and then break their ankles on like
We,
landing.
me and my friend Dan, the other Dan,
Uh-huh.
we would do stunts at playgrounds because we were getting too old to play at a playground. But we would always go to Max Myers and just goof around. And our two big tricks, our claims to fame, were we could swing so high that you would just lean back and do the flip, where you flip out of the thing and then land. And that was cool. And our other one was there was a play set that was like a suspension bridge. And I think he would always punch me. You would pretend clothesline your friend, and he would flip me over the railing, and I would fall. It was probably only like a 6-foot fall or a 4-foot fall, but over the railing, he would flip me, and we would act like we were angry at each other and try and put on a show or whatever. And he would hit me, and I would flip over backwards and land on my feet or whatever, hopefully land on my feet. But we did crap like that all the time off the playgrounds and jump off crap because we're idiots, and it was hilarious.
Do you think that protecting your
Risk is
kids
going
from
down.
risk is helpful? Like you did that, might have made you better at chinning or whatever
Falling,
you would free running. I don't know what you would call it.
falling, taking a hit
Landing.
and getting
Some people don't
clothesline.
know how to fall. I've seen people just like
That's a good
fall
point.
and not. They like break their. How did you? Didn't you break your finger or something when you fell?
That was snowboarding, and yes, no, I didn't break the finger. I broke the UCL joint in my thumb.
No, you didn't learn how to fall properly.
I guess not. What's ironic is it was at the bottom of the mountain after I did a stupid mountain in Colorado. I was like, this is scary, and I did it. And then at the bottom, when I was level and flat, I fell. Anyway, no, I don't think. I think it's all net equal. Like I think maybe you take more risks physically doing goofy stuff in a playground at age 6 back then, but maybe that just precludes that future generations will take their risks doing financial things later, or it's student loans, or doing something else stupid. I mean, you all take, I would imagine, the same net risks and then pay for it. It just isn't physical anymore. There's different risks.
I
Do you
don't
know what I
know.
mean? At different ages. You think they take less risks?
I think the example that other people set by doing something stupid and then having consequences allow people to see, oh, that could have been me. Because like when you're younger, you can still get an injury that lasts your entire life, but
Mhm.
most people don't see that because they just don't pay attention to it. At least when we were younger. Now it might be like a thing that kids see other kids doing stupid shit, and they go, "Oh, that's what happens if you're doing this particular thing." Like,
But
don't
think
do
of
that.
this. I mean, they also see more kids do stupider stuff they wouldn't have thought of because of the internet, because of YouTube videos and all this stuff. So, like, if you see someone who has 10 million views doing something that looks sort of dangerous, you might want to try it, and you never thought it up. You see them succeed, and you want to try it. There's also a recourse that maybe you see them try it and get messed up. You watch an accident video where a dude snaps his leg. Like, that might scare you to not do it. But I think again, it's net. You're equaling out because just as many people are thinking that's friggin' awesome and I can do that. And I never thought that up. I'm going to try new shit. I'm going to do new stupid ass, dumbass, risky stuff. And you also have the people who are not going to take risks, who are like, whoa, I saw that go wrong. I'm not going to do that. But the same people are going to be doing the risky moves. The same people are not going to be doing the risky moves. Do you know what I mean? I think.
That makes no sense. The same people are going to be making risky moves and not making risky moves?
The risky move takers are still going to be taking risky moves. The non-risk takers are still going to not take the risk. Those people. Because you're
not premeditated, but like predestined. Like your personality is such that you're the riskier one.
Yeah, and whether you see it on YouTube or not, whether you see a success or a failure, you're probably going to do it anyway. There are people predisposed to taking risks.
That's the word. Predisposed.
You're welcome.
I don't think I'm risky at all. Yeah, I'm definitely not welcome either.
You do a lot of calculations, I feel like. Do you have a spreadsheet for relationships? Have you ever done a spreadsheet for a relationship?
I've done a spreadsheet for breaking up with somebody.
That's awesome.
It's like, what are the positives? What are the negatives?
You're like, hold on, let me break it down for you. There's a reason I did it. It's this chart.
There's a presentation here.
Over here, yeah. And it makes sense.
Here's Nick. He's a better speaker than I am. He'll take over. I'm just going to sit back here.
Okay.
This is why Dan wants to break up with you. Hold on. The end.
Hold on.
Surprise.
Hold on. Save your questions. No, the good stuff. I put the good stuff at the end because you always lead with the bad stuff and follow with the good stuff. Oh, yeah.
You should lead with the good stuff, bring the bad stuff in the middle, and then end with the good stuff.
And then end with the good stuff. That makes sense.
It's a bad presentation right there.
It is. I apologize.
That's not how I broke up with my girlfriend.
Did you print it for her?
Yeah. I put six on a piece of paper. I like to save money because the ink is expensive.
I sent it directly to your Google Drive.
Yeah. If you can't read it, you're just going to trust me.
It's in the cloud.
It's in the cloud.
Weird.
Your projector, I can't get it to work.
Can you get it? I need to talk to you about something. If you made a girl fix her TV or projector so that you could show her the slides showing you breaking up with her, it would be...
The moment she fixed it, you pull out your laser pointer. You're like, see here. Click.
Now, what we were going to notice... Click, click.
This is you. This is what I don't like about you.
These are things outside the bubble. The bubble's good. The bubble's safe. Outside the bubble.
Popped the bubble.
Oh, Lord. And so I'm going to have to put a pin in this relationship.
It'd be great if it was like, do you have any questions? And then, like, you just shut the door, and she's like, but I was... And then you're not there. She just looks around, and it's like the next slide rolls over with, like, a nice, cheerful animation. Like, we're broken up.
Remember the good times. Congratulations.
And then a roll of pictures of everything you ever had that was good. And then it sets fire to itself.
Self-destruct. The old Mission Impossible idea. I'd say, yes, I'm more of a risk taker than you, but I don't know that I'm risky. Sometimes I go on 5-year spurts.
That you know?
That I know? Is it people who are super addicted to drugs and do ridiculous shit? Hedonists? People who just go by what they want to do?
The people I know that are addicted to drugs are really not risky, in my opinion. Like, they kind of stay in their own world and stay put.
I mean, I guess you're right, because it would be risky to show up to a business meeting high on heroin.
True. But then, like, risk also involves people who understand, like, what the possibilities are. I think if you
do it anyway.
If you're just dumb and you don't realize what you're doing to yourself, then that's not risky. No.
That's not considered risk if you are so dumb that you do stupid shit all the time. It's just considered being dumb.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
It does.
I'm not going to argue with you. Like, so to take risk, you have to be an intelligent individual who flies in the face of rationale. Yeah, then I'm risky, 100%. I do shit against common rationale all the time.
The riskiest thing I've seen, so like people, like living up north, there's a lot of like snow and ice, and I know people who are like skilled drivers that like will do donuts and like
Mm-hmm.
they'll drift around things. I've seen people that were really, really good at it, like
Mm-hmm.
better than I can comprehend. And to
Mm-hmm.
them, like the risk is there, but they're skilled enough to avoid it.
That
So
makes
like,
sense because they know what they're doing. They've clearly not done the hardest drift job of their life in this 8 feet of snow in the north for the first time.
yes.
They've done increments of this for dozens and dozens of times for dozens of years.
So it's interesting that like that
That's
particular
not as
thing
risky
is
then, is it?
that's what I'm getting at is that I can't
Ah.
comprehend the risk involved. Like I know the consequences, but I
Mhm.
I trust that the person is skilled enough not to screw it up. But
So is it as
it's
big a risk?
survivor bias though, because if he did crash his car, I'd be like, oh, he sucks. Like why would I ever trust that person? But if he didn't crash his car, you'd be like, wow, he's got something that I don't know about. There's some skill there that is like incomprehensible.
Definitely a skill. And to shout out, I don't know why he caught my eye, but some beat up, crappy Nissan hatchback type thing that people always soup up from the
It's
90s,
a
maybe
Nissan like
early 00s.
GTR. Is it GTR Nissan? What's GTR?
Yeah, that's a nice one. But I'm talking like a crappy knockoff vehicle that's supposed to have it has a spoiler, and this was a stick
Hmm.
shift. I was playing outside with my kid, and I just live on a two-way street next to a one-way street, and there's a stop sign, whatever. It's a four-way intersection, but no one ever comes down it. The roads were covered in snow because we snowed the other day, and for whatever reason, I heard his car coming, probably because it's one of those crappy like engines that makes a lot of noise, and it was stick shift, and I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, he must be a neighbor or something, and he was going a little fast, but I don't know why my eye drifted to him, and I just watched him, and he literally just pulled the handbrake and then cut out a gear and just drifted to turn right. And I was like, yo, that's awesome. And all he did was he didn't make it a big deal of it. He wasn't showing off for anyone. Like he didn't even pay attention to me. He was like, I'm going to drift to the right. And I was like, that's kind of badass. Like it was stupid. And it's something I totally was like, I wish I could get in my car and do that right now. And it was a calculated risk because I was like, what if he hits a stop sign? What if he hits the curb? Like his car's so low, it's gonna
What if there's someone else coming?
fuck up his car. Yeah, I mean it's a quiet enough neighborhood where you can see everything, and there was no one coming. I don't know that he would have done it if someone was coming, maybe, but it was just wild that he did it. And then I paid attention because he was doing it, and I was like, hold on, Dominic, shut up for a minute. I gotta watch this guy. And he goes, my kid's like, oh, let's throw snowballs. I'm like, I need to see this guy. And he went down to the next street, and there's another tiny side street, and he drifted to the left and went up it. And I was like, he doesn't live anywhere around here. He's just friggin' doing drifts to turn. And I was like, this is kind of cool, kind of terrible. And he did it around the neighborhood. And at some point, I heard him leave all the neighborhoods that are connected back here and get back on the Broad Street and hit down the way. And I heard his engine, and I recognized the sound. I was like, wow, he's done screwing around in our neighborhood, drifting around. He was just doing it to practice drifting to the left or right. And I was like, that's so stupid. Because I looked at the guy. He's like a 35-year-old dude just in his beat up Nissan. I was like, why would he do that? And at one part of me was a dad, and I was a little mad at him, like, why would you risk so much? And the other part of me was like, badass, dude. I wish I had your car.
Yeah.
I want to do the exact same thing today. And no one was on the road. It was quiet. He wasn't like, I feel like it was calculated. Like it's not like he was doing it on a busy street and just pulling that handbrake and going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was doing it fairly calmly, but for no reason other than to do it. And that's risk. I love risk. I changed my mind. I love risk. Sometimes as a dad, I go back and forth, and I don't want my kid to love risk. I just want me to love risk. Does that make sense?
It does actually. I don't.
I want me to love risk. I don't want other people to love risk. That's dangerous. Hey, you, stop.
That's because most of the time, I guess most injuries, like if you're dealing with your own injury, and it's not severe, like you don't involve other people. Like if I was severely disabled and it didn't require the intervention of other people, I'd be like, I'm okay. Like it's okay.
That's what I did with my dirt bike ride, right?
Oh yeah, your own leg
Through a
injury.
fence. Yeah, put a hole in my leg.
Did you deal with it yourself, financially and emotionally?
I'm still dealing with it. I think there's a couple hospitals looking for payment. $700 bill to look at my leg. It's fine.
They looked at you. They just took a look. They're like, "Yep,
it's okay. It's gross, but it'll be fine." And I was like, "Thank you." And they're like, "Here's the bill."
Jeff Bezos in here. Where's Jeff? And then just like, we get hit with like $700 in pennies. My leg.
But that was, I don't know what that risk was worth, other than
idiocy.
Hey,
proving your idiocy.
I would do it again. Everyone's like, "Well, now you've learned your lesson. You're never going to touch a dirt bike again." I'm like, I can't wait to do it again. Maybe because I'm an idiot. But I know the risk, so maybe I'm not an idiot. Maybe
now, why did that happen, though? Like, it seems like, when you describe it, it seems like, wow, he doesn't know how to drift down a street. Why did he get on a bike and try to drive it? Try to ride it? I don't, like, was it gas versus brake or something? Do you not know which one's which?
It's just weird because your hands control the things and the gears, and I was told to keep it in first. And, well, here's the problem. Everyone who doesn't know the story, I went around his bumpy ass, stupid ass yard once, and I did it okay. I went very slow, but like I went around the whole yard, and I was like, this is cool. Like riding a dirt bike's badass. Like, and I've driven stick shift before. I know how to change gears. I get all that. So I decided to go around again because it was cool, because it felt awesome, because it was fun. And just the second time around, I got too close to the fence, and I couldn't remember. I was like up against his fence, and I was like, if I don't stop, I'm gonna ruin his fence. Like I'm fucked. So I held down both, which is the gas and the clutch. And when you do that, it's revving the engine, but you stop because the motor's disengaged. So I literally was stopped, and I was like, I'm fine. And as you let go of both at the exact same time, it just kicks into gear and shoots up. And at that point, I grabbed it because I thought it was going to go into Magazine Road and hit a car, and I was gonna like kill someone. But apparently a dirt bike that looks like it weighs 40 pounds it weighs a lot. So it just picked me up into the air and slammed me back down on it and impaled my leg. And I did go through his fence. Turns out the fence just picks back up and locks back in. It was no big deal, but my leg, ugh.
No, doesn't just.
Nope.
You can't just pick it back up and put it back in.
Nope. But that one was a failure, we'll say, because it cost me thousands of dollars-ish. Hundreds of dollars plus, so like just into the thousands, and I didn't get to go around the yard more than once and a half, and yeah, everyone told me how much of an idiot I was, but it was worth it. Do you know what's worth it? Just doing new shit, doing weird shit, doing shit that you can't do, you have no right doing. If I didn't do it, when was I going to try a dirt bike? Are you going to try a dirt bike anytime soon?
That is one of the things that my cousins have quads, and I distinctly remember them like gunning it in the back of like a field, like an open field, lots of like dead brush and grass and stuff.
Yeah.
And like they would slide, like kind of drifting, and they'd let it like rock on like two wheels.
Yeah, I know that. Okay.
And it's like I'm not in control. I don't know. It's not hard because you can adjust. You can always redirect yourself and level off. But with them, it's like if it rolls and I get killed by it, I could seriously be fucked.
But you would never do that with the rocking and two wheels and all that crap until you get comfortable with something. Yeah. Like you don't do wild shit until you
know the boundaries. You feel it out enough to know.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why. And the only way to get better at something like that, a physical
pushing the boundaries,
riding a bike, exactly. You have to risk to get better at something, don't you?
I think you do.
Even something as stupid as drums, like it sounds like a stupid risk, but if you're playing a beat in 4/4 and you're like, hey, can I do this? You have to take a risk to do something that sounds stupid. You have to take a risk to do something your body's not used to. It's off beat. You have to risk. You have to do something you've never done.
So
most of the time you fail, but when it's drums, it's not a big deal. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Well, I don't know. it depends on who you are. Because when I was younger, I was afraid of like speaking my voice and having people hear what I'm creating. So playing drums, like everyone can hear it.
Well,
So
I'm talking about in my house alone, but
no, no, I
because I would
mean,
practice that. But I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
but like people in my house, even like my mom and dad, I
Oh,
didn't want them to hear like me trying to create
you
something.
screw
Cause
up.
yeah,
Well, you make a dumb sound, or like start a beat and then go off pattern, or sound nasty or something.
yeah, and a lot of that is I don't like when. Do you think when the biggest drummers in the world they started? Do you think they probably screwed up a lot?
Oh my God, probably
It's like
any
building.
instrument. Think about it. You screw up all the time. Like failure probably happens. There's those stupid old sales cliches that are like failure is 99% of success, or they make up really dumb sayings, but they're a little bit true in that you can't know what to look for in failing until you do it, and then you'll know what failure is and how to avoid it. Like you can't avoid failure if you've never failed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me bring in this
Could, I
example.
guess. Mhm.
It's like that trading bot that I'm working on. I've
Mm.
had that ever since like I was like in my 20s, but it's like the fifth iteration. So like there's no possible way that I could have done it right straight from the start in a straight line. I had to veer, find dead ends, double back, and fail so many times. And all of the people that start businesses, like their retrospect is almost never, oh, I tried this and failed, tried that and failed. Like they don't remember. I don't think anything that I did 10
You
years
don't
ago I
remember,
remember
but they told you.
accurately.
You also don't remember the failures as strongly if they're personal. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I tried this, it didn't work, so I tweaked it, and I remember this. Like, you don't always remember what you tried and didn't work. You just remember you fixed it.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time fixing things.
You'll remember the end result because it's an easy piece of information to remember.
You
Right?
also are currently working on it. Like, do you know what I mean? If you're currently working on your bot or whatever, you remember what got you here. So you remember some of the failures, most of the successes because they're still built into the code. It's kind of like how life is. You remember most of your successes, a few of your failures. I don't know, and you keep building towards more.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Risk, baby. You like the board game?
Oh, yeah.
I never played it.
I like the computer version. I don't like versions where you have to like
Physically
roll
move things?
dice and yeah, move my hands. What? No.
Ugh, Jesus Christ,
Oh,
Lisa.
hands.
Disgusting. Ugh.
Monopoly with real money. Oh gosh.
Disgusting. Take it, please. I can imagine. Did you cheat at Monopoly?
Who doesn't? That's
I don't. Who cares? I want it to be over. I'm like this. I'm like, oh no, the bank got my money. Are we done? Someone's like, it's been 5 minutes, Nikki. Keep playing. It's me, your mother. I'm like, God damn it. You still have more money. And I'm like, I reverse cheat. Oh my God, the bank took all my money. Nikki, you gave too much money. I'm like, I wish this would be over. Like my life, Mom. She's like, you're 13. Stop it.
in that instance. What would you do otherwise? Would you
What?
wait and go like you be hoping you can go play like Donkey Kong Country or something?
Yeah, anything
Toe
else.
Jam
Like just,
and Earl,
Toe Jam and Earl. Good one.
Crash
Mhm.
Bandicoot, Sonic the
Also,
Hedgehog.
my son wants to buy a Spyro game. And I was like, what?
Power the
I was like,
Dragon.
that was a cool game. He showed me the game, and I was like, Spyro. He's like, yeah, Dada. How'd you know? And I was like, this is older than you, dude. Like the way he said it, like I knew the character's name. I was like, that's Crash Bandicoot. They're in the same game, and I was like, I don't. He's like, yeah, and he does this, and he can jump on things. I'm like, I know, relax. I'm well aware. I don't know.
Can't wait.
You'll get there.
I think that covers it. I think yeah, we're good.
Well, let's end it. What's risk is good?
I think it is actually. It's just
Kinda
like
is.
stupidity is bad. Not
It puts you
understanding
out of
risk
your
is bad.
going outside your comfort zone.
I think it harkens on the people that just are completely oblivious. It's kind of ignorance is a piece that we didn't really cover. It's like when people So like I'm overly cautious. I think about almost everything, and I calculated almost everything. Yeah, I
research
research it.
Mm-hmm.
And like the people that just like blindly go, and then they like ride right through it. I'm like, but you didn't think about this, that, or that. It's like maybe you made it, maybe you didn't, but pure luck. I don't.
Here's what's gonna cook your fucking noodle.
Oh god.
You don't get any of that time back.
The time spent researching and making it right and tweaking it and preparing,
calculating it. Yeah, you can come back and say you don't get time back. You don't get any of your time back for anything in your goddamn life. So I get it. It's a real good retort. You don't get time back for anything. But I mean, we are what we spend time doing. So we should mitigate risk. We should really think about what we do and not ride dirt bikes when you're like 35-ish. Because maybe you have a kid and maybe you could crash it and bust up your leg. But also, maybe just fucking do it. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I don't think anyone does.
Interesting. And that's kind of what makes us human. A little bit of risk, baby. And I don't mean the board game, because Dan doesn't play board games.
Not anymore. Not since computers were invented.
Oh. 1981. So we discussed risk. We talked about what's dangerous, what's crazy, what's calculated, what's worth it.
Who to sleep with.
Who to sleep with. That's a risk.
You never know what you're going to find.
Mm-hmm. We talked about kilowatts that this podcast uses and how much it costs to power an episode and whether or not we owe that money.
Maybe 20 cents because both of us.
Whether or not we owe that money to someone we live with. That's a risk.
Yeah.
It's a risk, baby. And whether you bring this exact sentence up to them later, who knows? Might be a terrible idea.
Would you say
maybe you do it anyway.
The pico? I pay for the pico. Pico power play. She comes in with a hockey sticks and just beats your ass with it.
That's a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So I think we talked about all the risks.
Yeah, I guess.
Thanks.
We
We like you.
You.
Even if you're serial killers, you're alt-right people, you're Nazis, you're weirdos, you're perverts. You do all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't know that we're going to promote you. We like you for listening. Maybe.
A little bit.
Anyway, we like you. We like you a lot. Check out them socials. Check out our Patreon. Check out our... Check them out. Thanks for tuning in, right?